Hello, you're listening to Film Graze. I'm Emmett.
I'm Sam.
We're from the rock and roll band Film Graze. This is our podcast about cinema. We've got a really, really good episode for you today, listeners.
Yep, we're going to be talking about Safdie brothers. We're going to be talking Uncut Gems, Good Time. Yeah, pretty much all of them. Let's get into it, man.
Let's get it. All right. So after a couple of failed attempts to see Uncut Gems in the cinema on Sunday, due to them being sold out, and we finally got to see it. Well, I'd seen it before, actually, twice. You finally got to see it. Front row.
Yeah, Kurt's on Mayfair. It was a good screening experience, and yeah, as you said, we spent a lot of the day trying to coordinate and find our way to sold-out screenings across London.
It's very in demand. It's very sensational. I know a lot of cinema chains don't put Netflix films on because of the window or whatever. But it was on at quite a few places. But it's, I don't know, you've been on Twitter. It's the only thing anyone's talking about apart from the Oscar stuff. Whether it's like, oh, it didn't get nominated for an Oscar, or like, it's funny how he says, this is how I win, or whatever, you know. For A24 doing their thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a madly hyped film, and as you said, you saw it last year, and it's been really hard not having seen it. Like, still Parasite and The Lighthouse, I want to see these shits in the cinema. Like, I guess we can watch them, but I want it to be a cinematic experience, and we really got that on the weekend.
For sure. Were you disappointed?
No, in no way was I disappointed, man. And yeah, as the day progressed, I was like anxious that we wouldn't get to see it.
I said it was like being in a Safdie brothers film.
Yeah, like there was a lot of like dashing around. But yeah, I mean, the film from beginning to end is just mind-blowing, and you are plummeted into like an extremely compelling story which is told in like a mad way. Visually, the script, like everything, the performances, everything about it is just like...
I guess we should describe the plot for a little bit. Howard Ratner at Howie Bling on Instagram. I guess he's like a Generation Xer, right? He's a bit old. It's the film set in 2012. Probably my favourite thing about the film. He plays a jeweler, a compulsive gambler, a terrible father, and he gets this sort of mystical black opal shipped to him in a fish and causes everyone around its life to sort of spiral. Kevin Garnett turns up, he borrows the gem because it will endow him with super basketball powers. Adam Sandler is in debt to Eric Bogosian, plays his brother-in-law, and he's got these two heavies coming around. Like, there's loads of people in the film who are trying to get money off him, even just like characters that have like 2 lines of dialogue. They just turn up on the street and they're like, Howard, where's my money, or whatever. So it's just one of many debts. But yeah, and it's like 2 days, 3 days or something.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's all very like, come back tomorrow, I'll have it for you then. And they maintain this like energy throughout it, even when there's like a Passover meal at one point.
My favourite scene.
I guess because the tension of like the debt like carries over into that as well. Yeah. But even when there's like a change of content, they maintain like this crazy propulsive energy.
I love how they allied all the travelling. Like, him and Lakeith Stanfield's character are like going over to Philadelphia to see Kevin Garnett at practice, and they leave the Diamond District and then the next second they're just like parking in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah, I mean, should we talk about the performances for a little bit? Because like Adam Sandler in this film is like obviously sensational.
It is like staggering that it didn't get nominated for an Oscar, because it is like a landmark performance both for him and for like beyond that. Film culture is great.
Yeah, I guess like the film that started most in, I don't really want to dwell on this, but is Punch Drunk Love as his most lauded dramatic performance. But this is like very different. The manic energy in it is just insane. Like, it's such a counterpoint to like the downbeat performance in that one.
For sure. He's like always on, right?
Yeah.
He's either anxious or just like compulsive or whatever. But I mean, you're hearing his voice like throughout the film, either on a phone or like he just comes out with classic shit all the time. I feel really hilarious lines of dialogue. We should mention Ronald Bronstein, who worked on the script and the editing. He'll come up again and again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, what a great performance.
Yeah. He interacts with so many people throughout it. His family life, the scenes of him and his kids, him and his wife, him and his girlfriend, him and like his creditors or whatever, and
he's just going around, it's an Adam Sandler role, he does the voice.
Good to see him go back to doing his voices, like he could talk like, oh no, my diamonds are all uncut. Oh no!
You should mention, like, I'm not a huge fan of Adam Sandler, and the voice is probably his more sort of the worst thing of his legacy, because I associate that voice with like kids on the playground, like ableist humor or whatever.
Definitely.
And he's kind of responsible for that. I'm sure people were doing stupid voices before that, but he's now codified it in a way. And I find it pretty annoying. We watched The Cobbler the other day. Very gentle, boring, nice, calm film. I like Reign Over Me because it's got the Who on the soundtrack.
What's that one?
It's another serious one where he plays this dude who like lost his family in 9/11, so he just plays Shadow of the Colossus with Don Cheadle all day. People don't really like that film. I think it's alright. But yeah, it fits both very neatly in the Sandler canon and the Safdies canon, which is great because they both have massive Netflix deals. So this is a match made in heaven for everyone involved, really.
Yeah, I guess like we'll dwell more on like the unifying features of like the Safdie brothers filmmaking as we explore their other films.
Yeah.
But I mean, the cinematographer in this film is Darius Khondji, who's like a big like Hollywood guy, you know, like a prestige cinematographer.
He did The Lost City of Zed, which is some of my favourite modern cinematography, and he's had an amazing career.
Let's do more performances though, maybe before we get in.
It is centred around Adam Sandler, but it's got an amazing ensemble cast. The wickedly talented Adele Dazeem. You've got Lakeith Stanfield, and you've got
Kevin Garnett.
Fucking phenomenal performance, you know. So serious, so captivated by the gem.
Yeah.
And it's based on like real basketball games, you know, you're seeing him play actual basketball. And I think they wrote the script around the beats of both those basketball games that are portrayed in the film. But yeah, I think the way they sort of set it very much in the real world and using people like Kevin Garnett, Trinidad James, The Weeknd, as you say, Cash Out, love it, absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, it just is a very like lived-in world that they're representing, and even though Adam Sandler's character is like so larger than life, I guess it's like sort of a New York thing, maybe.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I watched Talk Radio with Eric Bogosian recently, which has a similarly like annoying, loquacious character at the centre of it. He's just like talking throughout. People hate that guy in the film, you know, like he just pisses everyone off. I guess Idina Menzel does say, "You are the most annoying person I've ever met in my life" to him, which is fantastic.
Yeah, but it's sort of like I don't know, I guess people are sort of tolerant of him even though he's outrageous, maybe.
Yeah, even his daughter doesn't really like him. Very like Irishman. But yeah, it's true. He fucks up, and people, you know, in family I guess is different, but you've got people who work for him.
His relationship with his like girlfriend is mad.
She's a newcomer, Julia Fox, and thought it was a great performance, to be honest.
Definitely,
did
man.
so much with a role that could so easily have been like very one-dimensional, I feel. Maybe not in a Safdie Brothers film, but
yeah, I feel like she is quite like instrumental to the plot as well as just being like, if they wanted to illustrate the fact that like, you know, he was a bit of like a dickhead or whatever, like having like a piece on the side, there are so many different ways of doing that, and this is like, I guess what I was saying about like making his character like redeemable or like sympathetic like other characters within it, whilst he's still like doing outrageous things like placing all his money on bets, you know, and like putting up things that are lent to him for collateral. People are still meant to be drawn to him as well. Like she gets his name tattooed on her arse. Lakeith Stanfield, maybe we can just go back to him real quick.
He's great. Damani.
I guess quite like an ominous figure in the film.
Yeah, whenever he turns up, something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah. I don't know, he has just like such like a cool demeanour in it as well. I guess that's pretty standard.
Yeah,
like
Joe's favourite line was when because he's selling his like fake Rolexes out of his shop or whatever, and then he's like, "Oh, I don't want you to sell these fake. You can't sell these fake Rollies in my shop." And then he's like throwing them out or whatever. He's like, "Come on, man, those boxes are really expensive."
That's classic.
It is unrelenting in its pace and structure in a really compelling way, I think, because even when it slows down, and the last third of the film, there's not much travelling for Sandler. I mean, there is a lot of travelling for Julia Fox's character. It's the same with Good Time, you know, where they sort of slow down the pace. They don't slow down the pace, but like they condense it a little bit more, and you don't realise how much time has gone by, and because stuff is still just happening.
Definitely. I think the way they use space as well like complements this. A lot of it is shot in the shop, which is like obviously really small, but they still, through the editing and the camera work, make it seem like a really like dynamic lived in space, you know, like it's not like...
Yeah, the back is so different to the front, and like you got the door, that little like vestibule bit, so essential to the plot.
What's the name of the guy that did the music?
One O Tricks Point Never.
I guess it's quite a similar vibe to the music in Good. In all of them, I feel like they have this like pulsating electronic-y...
It's funny because they used Isao Tamita for Heaven Knows What. Yeah, very classic. So I mean, that album was big in the 70s, I think.
Like electronic Debussy or...
Yeah. That has quite a similar effect. Or recontextualized into that story. But this, I think they must have been writing to the shots or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so deliberate, like all the different things. Even the most ridiculous, like the plot of the film has like cheesy, stupid elements or whatever, like this mystical gem.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a MacGuffin, really, isn't it? Like
it is, but it actually, yeah, I guess it is a classic MacGuffin, but it also has this other. It's like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction or something like that.
Oh yeah, like a hidden like spiritual power or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only explanation for like some of the decisions made in the film, I think. Like that though, the score has all these stupid elements or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I guess it's like melodramatic, but it's not like sweeping violins. It's like I can just like ramping it up like the whole time. It's so intense.
I was going to say, which score did you prefer, the Uncut Gems score or the Atlantic score? And I feel like Al Qadiri is quite a similar or quite a comparable figure to One Tricks Point Never. Someone who's I can never get through one of his albums, but does good film scores, I think.
I don't know enough about the subgenres of electronic music to properly describe these different soundtracks, but they're both like just like dark electronic stuff. They're like, God, when I think about the Atlantics one, it's so powerful. I guess that's the main point, really, isn't it? The way that like these electronic sounds can like modulate like human life or whatever, or like human experience.
For sure. I guess with Atlantics they have more sort of like disturbances on the soundtrack from the real world, but then it becomes so overwhelming and anxiety inducing when that scene when Kevin Garnett's looking at the orb and the music's just getting louder and louder as he's getting more and more drawn into it, and then like you hear all the characters just chatting away, and then like Howard's like, "Don't lean on the glass, KG," and then just
yeah, for like the third time or whatever. There are just some fantastic shots as well, like both at the beginning and at the end, where the camp, I guess, relating to that point of like the property of the rock or whatever, or like the, you know, like ancient mysteries within things. Like,
David Jenkins compared it to The Exorcist.
Oh man, I was literally thinking that the way it starts, like in the desert, and then it's just like a...
So it takes the first shot, for such New York filmmakers, this was one of the craziest things about it for me. It's like, first shot, it's like Ethiopia.
Yeah, with like the Chinese mine operators or whatever. And then just like...
You don't know what they're saying, and then a guy comes up whose leg has just fallen off because it's been blown off or whatever in a mining incident. The Safdies talked about relating these things in one. I mean, I've listened to like every fucking interview they've done because it's just A24 machine had been like, oh yeah, wow, I do want to listen to them talking to Pinkerton or Paul Thomas Anderson or whatever. They're everywhere. They made a great film. They should be. They said like, oh, your life like hangs in the balance. These moments, whether like your leg could get blown off in a mine or whatever, or if that gem can lose you $1 million like on the other side of the world or whatever. But that is a really good prologue, I think. And then standard like deployment of the opening credits like 15 minutes into the film for the Safdie brothers.
But the way that happens as well, like, is like it goes like into the gem, and then I mean this is just a genius shot, out of his arse, turns into a colonoscopy like screen or whatever. It's actually mad.
I don't know why they did it, but I don't need to know. I just think it's fucking cool, you know. And then the last shot, I'm not going to spoil it, but similar sort of beyondness or whatever.
Yeah. Into the beyond, yeah.
Into the Elara Pictures logo. What did it remind you of, besides The Exorcist?
Well, Good Time, man. I feel like there's obviously like a really impressive continuity to their aesthetic from like their earliest work, which is thematically quite different, all the way to Uncut Gems. Yeah, primarily Good Time, I guess, because they're both genre picks with like a mad energy which comes through for the editing and the camera work, which I know as a different cinematographer. Sean Price Williams did Heaven Knows What, Good Time.
Did he do Daddy Longlegs? A great cinematographer.
I think he did Frownland, but I don't think he did Daddy Longlegs.
This was a big departure for not using him.
Yeah. But I think they retained their sort of signature.
I mean, yeah, Darius Khondji said he was working for them and they developed the storyboards and then gave it to him or whatever. But I think it is a slight change. The camera work in Uncut Gems does sort of take it a bit to the next level in terms of being a bit deliberate. I love the way Sean Price Williams shoots stuff. We just watched the Jay-Z video they did for Marcy Me. That was their first project, the Safdies and Darius Khondji together. Yeah, that was the first time they worked together, which is half of which is shot from a helicopter. Yeah. and the only light is, apart from like street light, is just this massive beam illuminating characters on the street around the Marcy project. Really great music video.
Yeah, they're just such good visual storytellers, man. Like, and again, like, the energy was the main thing.
They do so well whenever they have the camera following someone, and it's always so noticeable, like when the camera starts following Julia Fox in Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
Or when the camera follows that little boy into the bodega in the Jay-Z video or whatever. It's so deliberate, and they always keep the right distance. It's just great.
Yeah. I guess, like, in some of the other ones we're going to be talking about, where there's more of a sense of sort of... In fact, I feel like it is definitely present in this one as well, the sense of, like, guerrilla filmmaking and, like, working from the streets, and, like, a lot of it is shot from a long way away through, like, crowds. Where, like...
Walking in and out of the camera line. That's probably
so good,
my favourite trick or whatever. I mean, I said it reminded me of Breathless when we were watching Heaven Knows What, but yeah, the way that they often shoot from, like...
It's just that verite shit, man. Like,
50 yards away, 100 yards away, just like the far zoom. And yeah, I guess they are really influenced by cinema verite, direct cinema, that kind of stuff. But applying it to telling the sort of stories they tell is just a brilliant, brilliant thing, you know. Yeah. And the way, both indoor and outdoor.
And yeah, to restate it, Adam Sandler's character is like moving around like for pretty much the whole film, like trying to get to places.
He's always got somewhere else to be.
Like, yeah, someone else to, you know, placate. Or try to placate.
The character actors are so good. Or they're not even character actors, they're just like character people, you know. You've got that guy Wayne Diamond, who's in the end of the film, the very tanned man. The heavy, the crucial sort of guy.
Yeah. Oh god, it's just
with the crazy voice.
Terrifying performance.
Yeah.
And like,
and he was a security guard for like years and years. Right?
Really?
He's
Yeah.
never acted before.
Yeah, that's crazy. But like, I mean, he doesn't really have many lines, but like his presence is felt like again it's to do with like the use of space and the way they operate the camera as well. Like, there's one shot where I think Adam Sandler's in a shop or something, and then it just like zooms like out the window, like across the road, and then they're there just like talking to each other, like looking angry, and like you can't hear what they're saying, and it's just like this whole so intense. And then as the film goes on, this tension, you know, does not diminish.
Certainly not. Yeah, Uncut Gems, huge winner.
Yeah,
great film. Not disappointing.
Yeah, I'm really glad we saw it in cinema, and it's going to be on Netflix like maybe by the time you hear this.
No, we're going to do this one quick. We're going to edit it real fast, man. Come on. It's coming out by Monday. Happy Monday, listeners.
Great. I'm
glad everyone I know is seeing it. Because for an actual proper film, like, it's not Don't Fuck with Cats or whatever. It's not like some... This is an actual film that's like captured the imagination of a lot of people. And that's great. Because it is fantastic. Despite being really challenging, you know.
Yeah, I mean, tonally...
Cassavetes, this doesn't happen, you know, like, it's super challenging. And you're with... I think the thing with the Safdies, all their films, is you're following around someone who's, like, broken the social contract in, like, a crazy way, and is, like, a fuck-up, if not a failure, but just, like, totally borderline, like, someone could come up and kill them, or their whole shit could just get fucked up, like, any second. And that's with every character. Yeah. Robert Pattinson in Good Time, Adam Sandler in this film, Eleanor Hendricks in The Pleasure of Being Robbed, you know, they are anti-heroes in the truest sense, right?
Just like subjects, man, rather than protagonists or...
No, but you love them, you know, there is a huge identification.
Yeah, but are anti-heroes protagonists? I guess they sort of are. If protagonist is literally just like...
There's a film called The Joker that came out last year that is interrogates this question very well. You should watch it, man. It's good. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about their like stellar filmography for everything they've done. Yeah. And Uncut Gems feels like a bit of an encapsulation, but also feels like just the start of another phase. Yeah,
definitely. Do you know what
they were supposed to be making a remake of 48 Hours, but they had to shelve that, I think.
Right.
I'm sure they got bare scripts, you know, like Uncut Gems they were working on for 10 years, as you say. Jonah Hill was going to be the guy when Adam Sandler said no.
Jonah Hill?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they thought about getting Harvey Keitel and making it like a bit of an older character. But then...
Adam Sandler was literally perfect.
It's amazing. Perfect
casting. I'm so glad it panned out. Because, as you say, he said no, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then,
After he saw Good. He was at Cannes. If you've listened to any podcast, you've heard this story, but I'm fucking telling it. He was at Cannes with the Meyerowitz stories the same time they were on it, doing Good Time. Yeah, I know. Sam just did a great face there. Bad film. And then he saw it and he's like, oh yeah, I want to make a film with you guys. And the script is just fantastic, you know.
Yeah.
If I was given, I'm not an actor, if I was given the script, I'd be like, hell yeah, I want to be in that fucking film. You know?
And just the way, like, I guess there are so many scenes where, like, so much is going on, like, dialogue-wise, in this tiny little jewellery shop. Like, there will be, like, 5 people having talking over each other and stuff. And it's just crazy, man. God, and, yeah, just on the subject of the script, when we talk about our other films, like, we're going to, you know...
Talk about Ronnie.
Yeah, talk about Ronnie. Yeah, I can't wait to get into it, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Love to watch Safdies, 'cause they're good. Love to watch Safdies like a good boy should. Safdies for me, Safdies for you. Let's watch Safdies in my big brown shoe.